Alrighty, so headline with the H2 element. So over the next few lessons, we'll build an HTML5 cat photo web app piece by piece. So the H2 element you'll be adding in this step, we'll add a level 2 heading to the web page. So this element tells the browser about the structure of your website. So H1 elements are often used for main headings, while H2 are generally used for subheadings. There are also H3, H4, H5, and H6 elements to indicate the different levels of subheadings. So add an H2 tag that says cat photo app to create a second HTML element below your hello world H1 element. So what we want to do is, according to the instructions, we're going to create an H2 element. So we said we create elements like this, H2, tab, and then the content we want to put inside of it is this word right here, cat photo app. So let's go ahead and write that in here, cat photo app. And let's run the test. Yeah, we knew you could do it. Now, before we continue on to the next one, I want to go ahead and add in some of my own input, right? So before you just jump ahead, right, it also mentioned some other tags, and it didn't give us a chance to actually work with that. So let's see what they actually look like, right? So let's say H3 is going to be let's, H4 is going to be learn, H5 is going to be with, and our H6 element is going to say navs. All right, and so what you'll notice is that every time we use a heading that increases number-wise, it actually decreases in size, right? So H1 is the biggest, and H2 is a little bit smaller than that. H3 is a little bit smaller than that, H4, H5, until we get all the way down to the bottom of H6. So one of the questions that I get is, why would you want to use different H elements, right? So most people think that you just want to use them as making text bigger or smaller, but that isn't always the case because we can use CSS to change it, right? So a good way to think about H tags, or the heading tags in this case, is you're going to do something like this, right? So let's throw back a little bit to our college days about writing an essay, right? So in our essay, we always had something like a title, and then in our title, we always had the intro paragraph, then we had our main point 1, main point 2, main point 3, and conclusion, right? That was generally the format that we used to do. And you're going to notice that the text over here isn't formatted. And that's just because we haven't added any of our H tags yet, right? So to give you an idea about when you should use an H tag, is you should use it in like subsequent value, right? So like the H1 tag should only be used once, and that represents the title of the entire web page, right? Then underneath the H1 you have subheadings, right? Like the intro, main point 1, main point 2, main point 3, and conclusion, and anything underneath there, any other subheadings under here, that's when you would want to use H3 tags. So let's go ahead and see what that would look like. So for example, right here, this would be our H1, right? Which is the title, it's the biggest thing. And then all of these, intro, main point, they're all like subheadings of the title, right? They're all pieces that explain what is going on this web page. Right, so these would all be H2. 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 Okay. And so this is how you would use like the H1 heading and then H2. So when would we use H3, right? So what goes inside an intro, right? We have our H3, we have our hook, And we also have our thesis, right? H3, which is thesis. Okay, and so for H1, we're going to write, or H3, we're going to write, in the main point, I think it was the like problem 1, H3, example 1, H3, analysis 1, and then like a link, linking back to the main point. H3 analysis. Okay, so the whole point that I'm trying to show here is that when you're using, this can't go down anymore, right? So let's just delete this for now. Okay, so when you're creating your web page, what you want to do is you want the title to be the H1. Typically, you only want to have one H1 on any given web page, right? And then every single piece that's subsequent to it, like this is intro, main point 2, main point 3, and conclusion, those are all subsections. And those can be divided into even more subsections, like the hook and the thesis, or the problem 1, problem 2, analysis 1, and so forth, right? And so that's exactly what you want to do, is that you want to give your code that kind of structure. And so one of the examples that I'm going to show is on this page right here on Wikipedia. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit our inspect tool, right? And we're going to see that the heading right here uses an H1 tag right here, right? So this is the title. This is what this page is about. It's about Bruce Lee. Great guy. If you ever watched the documentary How Bruce Lee Changed the World, I strongly recommend it. It's awesome. He's an awesome man. He's one of my heroes. Okay. But then if we go down, right, you'll notice that this page has contents to it, right? Right? So it has this early life, names, right? So see how this early life is a subsection about Bruce Lee. Martial arts is a subsection of Bruce Lee. But inside here we have, I can't read this, so I'm just going to go back to this section, right? Names is a subsection of early life. So what we should expect is that we should expect Bruce Lee to be our H1, like it is. But when we get down to early names, this should be an H2, and names should be, early life should be H2, and names should be H3. H3, 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 and so on. So let's go down here, and you'll see that this is this subsection. We'll go ahead and inspect. And right here, we see it. This is an H2 tag. And if we go down, names is a subsection of his early life. Inspect. And this is an H3 tag, like we see right here. This should also be an H3 tag. So let's go ahead and inspect it, as we can see right here. And so going back to the FreeCodeCamp, right? You always want to structure your code like that. So main point, and then each subsection should be a heading. You don't just want to use it to make your text big or small. So just go back and run test. Cool, we knew you could do it.